Gentlemen, let me ask you something direct. Are you an amateur or are you a professional? Because here is what I have learned after years of working with couples. Amateur lovers focus on one part of the experience. They find something that seems to work. They repeat it and they wonder why she seems distant, why intimacy has become routine, why the spark that once filled a room has quietly gone out. Real professionals, the men whose partners think about them between encounters, who initiate with eagerness, who feel genuinely satisfied and deeply connected, those men focus on all 6 parts every single time. And today, I am going to walk you through exactly what those 6 parts are. Think about that contrast for a moment. The amateur and the professional may be in the same room with the same woman in the same situation, and yet the experiences they create are worlds apart. Not because one is more physically gifted or more naturally talented, but because one has taken the time to understand that intimacy is a complete multi-dimensional experience, that every stage matters, that showing up halfway is in a very real sense not showing up at all. I'm Dr. Julia Rhodes, a men's intimacy therapist who has spent years guiding thousands of couples toward deeper physical and emotional connection. My work focuses specifically on helping men understand what it truly means to show up fully for a partner, not just physically, but in every dimension of the experience. And what I have discovered through years of practice and research is that the men who consistently deliver an extraordinary experience are not the ones with the most stamina or the most bravado. They are the ones who understand that great intimacy is a complete experience, one that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that every stage of that experience matters. So today, I'm sharing the 6 steps that every professional takes when he brings his full self to the bedroom. These aren't complicated, but they are specific. And when you master all 6, the difference is not subtle. It is transformative. Let's get into it. Step number 1, master your masculine energy. A professional is confident, and that confidence doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't need to. It communicates through presence, through the way he moves, through the way he takes gentle but deliberate charge of the moment. Confidence puts a woman at ease in a way that nothing else can. When she feels your confidence, her nervous system relaxes, her guard comes down, and that relaxation is the first and most essential ingredient in genuine arousal. Now, one of the most powerful and often underestimated expressions of masculine energy is physical intentionality, specifically the use of your hands. Men are physical beings by nature, and women feel that physicality deeply. A man who uses his hands with purpose, with warmth, with gentle authority, communicates something that words simply cannot. He communicates that he is present, that he is in control, not in a domineering sense, but in the sense that she can trust him to lead this experience with care. A perfect example of this is the back of the neck. The neck is one of the most nerve-wracking, sensation-responsive areas of the female body, and yet it is one of the most overlooked. When you reach out and gently take the back of her neck, not forcefully, not aggressively, but with that quiet, assured touch, something shifts in her. That small gesture carries an enormous amount of masculine energy. It signals that you are here, that you are present, that you are in this moment entirely. And women feel that. We feel it in ways that go beyond the physical. That kind of confident, grounded masculine energy is what causes a woman's body to begin responding before anything else has even happened. It is what makes her think quietly but clearly, yes, this is where I want to be. So step 1 is not about performance. It is not about proving anything. It is about grounding yourself in your own masculine presence and allowing that presence to set the tone for everything that follows. Master that energy and you have already done something that most men never figure out. Step number 2, flawless foreplay. Professionals truly know not just intellectually, but in practice, that foreplay cannot be rushed. And yet rushing is exactly what most men do. They treat foreplay like a necessary inconvenience, a checkbox to be completed as quickly as possible before the real experience begins. And in doing so, they undermine everything that follows. Here is the biological reality. Women's bodies require time to prepare for intimacy in a way that men's bodies simply do not. A man can be physically ready for sex within seconds. A woman's body, when given the time and attention it needs, goes through a series of physiological changes. Increased blood flow to the pelvic region, natural lubrication, muscle relaxation, the lengthening of the vaginal canal that not only make the physical experience more comfortable, but dramatically more pleasurable. When you rush past this stage, you are asking her body to participate in something it isn't ready for. The result is an experience that is at best mediocre and at worst uncomfortable or even painful. But here is what the professionals understand that amateurs don't. Flawless foreplay is not just about duration. It is about attention. It is about following her lead. Every woman is different. What works for one partner may not work for the next. What she needs on a Tuesday may feel slightly different from what she needs on a Saturday. A professional doesn't assume he already knows. He pays attention. He watches her responses. He notices what makes her breathing deepen, what makes her body lean toward him, what makes her eyes close in a way that signals she is fully present in the moment, and he follows that. There is a profound leadership principle embedded in this. Sometimes in order to lead effectively, you must first follow. You gather information, you learn the terrain, and then armed with that knowledge, you can move with precision and confidence. That is exactly what flawless foreplay looks like. You are not wasting time, you are investing it. You are learning her in real time, and that learning allows you to give her exactly what she needs with an efficiency and accuracy that feels to her almost supernatural. She thinks you just know her, and in a sense, you do because you paid attention. I want to be very specific about something here because it is a mistake I see constantly. Many men believe that longer foreplay is automatically better foreplay. It is not. Duration without direction is just confusion drawn out over time. What matters is not how long you spend in this stage, but how attentively you move through it. Are you watching her? Are you adjusting based on what you observe? Are you genuinely present with her? Or are you going through a routine you've applied to every woman you've ever been with? Regardless of whether it's actually working, a professional asks those questions of himself and he answers them honestly. More time does not automatically mean better foreplay. Spending 20 unfocused minutes going through motions she doesn't particularly enjoy is far less effective than 10 deeply attentive minutes of genuine responsiveness. The goal is not to clock time. The goal is to get her fully, undeniably ready in her body and in her mind. When you achieve that, everything that follows is easier, more pleasurable, and infinitely more connected. Step number 3, an immaculate entry. Entry is in many ways the most consequential single moment of the entire experience, and it is also for many men the most awkward. There is uncertainty in that moment. Is she fully ready? Is she comfortable? Is this the right time, the right angle, the right pace? That uncertainty, if not handled well, creates a break in the flow of the experience. It introduces tension where there should be ease. And tension, as we've discussed, is the enemy of pleasure. An immaculate entry resolves all of that. When the transition from foreplay to penetration is smooth, seamless, and well-timed, it does something remarkable. It maintains the momentum of arousal that has been building throughout the foreplay stage. It keeps the experience in flow. And once the experience is in flow, it tends to stay there. So what makes an entry immaculate? Several things. Timing is the first. You should enter only when her body is genuinely ready, when she is fully aroused, fully lubricated, and physically open. The signs are unmistakable when you've been paying attention during foreplay. Her breathing has deepened. Her body is relaxed and responsive. She is actively reaching toward you rather than simply tolerating your presence. That is your signal. Depth and pace are the second consideration. An immaculate entry begins shallow. Just the initial depth slowly, gently, giving her body a moment to adjust and welcome what is happening. The cervix, which is highly sensitive, needs time to lift and reposition before deeper penetration is comfortable. Rushing past this results in discomfort that can dampen arousal significantly. Moving into depth gradually over the course of a minute or two allows her body to open fully. And by the time you are fully inside her, the experience has already begun to build in a way that feels natural and deeply pleasurable for her. Angle matters as well. Different positions and different angles of entry create different sensations, and a professional is aware of this. He is attentive to how she responds to each adjustment, noting what makes her body soften and welcome rather than tense and resist. When you get entry right, something shifts in the entire dynamic of the experience. It stops being a series of actions and becomes a shared experience, one that flows from one moment to the next with an ease and inevitability that feels almost choreographed. That seamlessness is the mark of a professional. You set the tone with your masculine energy. You prepared the ground with flawless foreplay, and now your immaculate entry has opened the door to everything that follows. Step number 4, your signature stroke. Every professional has one. And I don't mean that in a superficial sense. I mean it in the deepest sense of the word. A signature stroke is not simply a preferred position or a go-to move. It is a pattern of movement, pressure, rhythm, and timing that is uniquely yours. It is the expression of who you are as a lover, refined through attention, self-awareness, and genuine investment in understanding what your body is capable of and how it affects hers. Here is what is remarkable about a genuine signature stroke. A woman who has experienced it knows it. She can identify it, not because you have been with many women, that is not the point, but because your signature stroke carries a consistency and a quality that is recognizably, unmistakably yours. It becomes associated in her body and mind with pleasure, with safety, with you. And that association is extraordinarily powerful. Think about what it means to give a woman something she can reliably count on. In a world where so much is uncertain, where so many experiences disappoint, where so many men either don't know or don't care what she actually needs. To be with a man who has a signature stroke, who delivers consistently and with genuine skill is a revelation. She knows what is coming. She knows it is going to be good, and that anticipation itself, the knowledge that you are going to deliver, amplifies the pleasure before it even begins. Developing your signature stroke is a process of self-knowledge and attentiveness. It involves understanding your natural rhythm, the pace and depth that your body falls into most naturally and powerfully. It involves paying attention to how she responds to different variations of that rhythm, refining it over time based on what consistently produces the strongest response. And it involves committing to that stroke with confidence, not second-guessing yourself mid-experience or abandoning it the moment she doesn't immediately react. Patience is the ingredient that makes this refinement possible. And patience, as I remind the men I work with constantly, is not a passive quality. It is an active one. It is the choice to remain present, to keep observing, to keep adjusting with intention. The men who develop a true signature stroke are the men who brought that patient attentiveness to the process of learning their own body and their partner's responses, and who trusted that the investment would pay off. It always does. A signature stroke is also deeply personal to her experience, even though it originates with you. Because when it is delivered with attentiveness, when you are reading her responses and making micro adjustments in real time, it feels to her as if it was designed specifically for her, as if you studied her and created something just for her pleasure. And in a sense, you did, because you brought your signature stroke into contact with her specific responses and allowed the two to meet. That is the beauty of it. It is both consistent and personal, both yours and hers. That is what makes it so powerful. Step number 5, the pleasure trifecta. Amateurs have one approach. They find something that more or less works and they apply it repeatedly in the same way every time. A professional has options, multiple pathways to her pleasure, each one distinct, each one something he has genuinely developed and refined, and each one available to him at the right moment. I call this the pleasure trifecta. 3 distinct ways of bringing her to climax, and the knowledge of how and when to deploy each one. The first element of the trifecta is oral intimacy. This is an art form that far too many men either avoid entirely or approach with far too little skill and attention. When done well, oral intimacy is one of the most powerful tools in a lover's repertoire. It allows for extraordinarily precise stimulation of the clitoral structure, which, as we know, contains over 8,000 nerve endings and is the primary source of orgasm for the vast majority of women. A professional who has developed genuine skill in oral intimacy has access to a level of connection and pleasure that most women have rarely, if ever, experienced. And that is not an exaggeration. In my work with couples, I consistently find that oral intimacy, when done attentively and skillfully, produces some of the most intense and emotionally significant experiences women report. The second element is the ability to deliver a genuinely satisfying quickie. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A quickie sounds like the opposite of everything I've been describing, but a professional quickie is not simply rushed sex. It is the ability to read a moment, to recognize when she wants intensity and immediacy rather than a drawn-out experience, and to deliver that with enough skill and attentiveness that she actually gets there. This requires knowing her arousal patterns well enough to move efficiently, to skip past the extended buildup when the moment calls for it and go directly to what she needs. That is a skill, and it is one that when she experiences it, communicates something important, that you know her, that you're paying attention, and that you can meet her wherever she is. The third element of the trifecta is the full experience. What happens when you take your time, layer sensation upon sensation, build arousal through every technique at your disposal, and take her somewhere that she hasn't been in a long time or perhaps ever. This is the experience that stays with her, that she thinks about days later, that changes in a quiet but significant way how she sees you and how she feels about the relationship. A professional knows which element of the trifecta the moment calls for, and he can deliver any of the three with genuine skill. That versatility is what separates him from everyone who came before him. Step number 6, the follow-up. Now, if you were expecting me to say after R, you're not wrong, but you're not entirely right either. After R is important. A professional handles after R almost instinctively. He knows how to hold her, how to ease the transition from peak arousal back to the ordinary world, how to make her feel seen and valued in the moments immediately following intimacy. But after R for a professional is just the beginning. What separates a professional from a skilled amateur is the follow-up. The follow-up is the check-in. It is the acknowledgement the next day or the next week that what you shared together mattered. It is a text that references something specific about the experience. Not in a crass or boastful way, but in a way that says, I was present, I remember. You are not just an experience I had and moved past. It is the question asked a few days later, how are you feeling? It is the small gesture that communicates without any ambiguity that she matters to you as a whole person, not just in the moments of physical intimacy, but in all the space that surrounds those moments. Here is why this matters so profoundly. Women are not simply physical beings. Intimacy for a woman carries an emotional dimension that is as significant as the physical one, and in many cases, more significant. When a woman feels emotionally seen, valued, and genuinely cared for by a partner, her body and mind open to him in a way that no technique alone can produce. She holds a space for him, not just a physical space, but an emotional one. A place in her heart and in her sense of self where he lives and where his memory is warm and welcome. The follow-up creates that space. It says, this was not just a physical transaction for me. You matter to me beyond this room, beyond this night. And when a woman hears that, not just in words, but in the consistent, caring actions that constitute a genuine follow-up, she will always hold that space open for you. She will think of you with warmth. She will want to return to you. She will initiate. She will be genuinely, deeply invested in your shared intimate life in a way that no physical technique could ever produce on its own. In my practice, the follow-up is the single most underutilized tool I see. Men spend enormous amounts of time and energy rightly thinking about what happens during intimacy, but the space around the experience matters just as much. The day after, the week after, the quiet Tuesday afternoon message that has nothing to do with sex, but everything to do with connection. Those moments are what transform a good lover into an unforgettable one. I have seen this play out in my work with couples more times than I can count. A man learns the physical techniques, applies them well, and the experience improves significantly. But it is the ones who also master the follow-up, who bring the same attentiveness and care to the emotional landscape as they do to the physical, whose relationships transform most completely. Their partners open up in ways they hadn't in years. The frequency of intimacy increases. The quality deepens, and the relationship in every dimension becomes richer. Because intimacy that is honored and acknowledged outside of the bedroom creates safety inside it. And safety, as any experienced therapist will tell you, is the foundation upon which all genuine pleasure is built. So here is where we land. If you are a professional, if you are the kind of man who shows up fully, who brings his best self to every aspect of the intimate experience, you are going to bring all 6 of these steps to every encounter, every time, not when you feel like it, not when the situation seems to call for extra effort, every time, Because a professional doesn't have an off switch. He doesn't have nights where he decides the experience doesn't warrant his full attention. He shows up completely consistently because he understands that consistency is what builds the kind of trust and desire that sustains a relationship over years and decades. You are going to master your masculine energy, grounding yourself in presence and confidence before a single word is spoken. You are going to deliver flawless foreplay, following her lead with genuine attentiveness until you know exactly what she needs and can give it to her with precision. You are going to execute an immaculate entry, setting the tone for an experience that flows with ease and intention. You are going to deliver your signature stroke, the one that is recognizably, powerfully yours, and that feels to her like it was created specifically for her. You are going to bring the full pleasure trifecta to bear, meeting her wherever she is and giving her what that moment calls for. And you are going to follow up not just with after hour in the moment, but with the check-in, the follow-through, the consistent emotional presence that keeps her holding that space for you long after the experience is over. That is what it means to lay it down like a professional. Not one of these things, not 3 or 4, all 6 every time. Because here is what I know after years in this work. The men who do this, the men who commit to showing up fully in all 6 dimensions, don't just have better sex. They have better relationships. They have partners who are genuinely enthusiastic, emotionally connected, and deeply invested. They have an intimate life that grows richer over time rather than fading into routine. And they carry a confidence that comes not from bravado, but from knowing truly, knowing that they can deliver something extraordinary. That is the professional difference, and it is available to every one of you. I'm Dr. Julia Rhodes, and I will see you in the next